Hello. So what is the objective of this episode? The objective I want to bring across is not can cause cancer. Okay, number two, I want to tell you that yes, oral cancer is now becoming the number one cancer in the country. And the incidence and the prevalence rate, the number of cases that we're seeing every day in the clinic, and the prevalence of how it's growing, it's very progressing very quickly, and it's become a health crisis. Number three, people don't know a lot of information on oral cancer and all the causes and all the links, and it needs to be talked about. That's why I am sharing this with you, that we have a crisis in our hands, and the crisis is there is a rise in mouth cancer or oral cancer in Papua New Guinea, and the world needs to know about it, people need to talk about it, the country and everybody needs to be aware of it. Now, hello, welcome to the Voice of the Nightingale. I'm your host Maisel, and I'm glad you're tuning in. In this podcast, our YouTube channel, we talk all things health. Health is a global issue, and there is a huge gap in health information, and we're here to bridge that. We talk all things health, from physical health, mental health, social health, and spiritual health. We believe in the power of information, and we believe informed people do the right decision, and an informed society makes a great nation. The Voice of the Nightingale is a voice that sings for your health. Betelnut, known locally as boy, is killing tens and thousands and millions of people every year. In Papua New Guinea, people are not concerned to sit and talk about it. There is a health crisis on our hand. Why is cancer becoming the number one cancer in our country? It used to be breast cancer, cervical cancer, lung cancer. Now mouth cancer has come to the top, and it's now the number one cancer in the country. Why aren't we concerned? Betelnut has a direct link, and it has been said multiple times by many sources, many researchers, many doctors, and by the government. Yet, according to the Oxford Academia, states that half of Papua New Guinea population, about 40 to 50% of the population, is a regular chewer. That means if our population is 11.8, 4.9 million or 5 to 5.7 million of our population, our people, is a regular chewer. And the New Humanitarian has published an article in 2014 stating that every year, 25,000 people in Papua New Guinea die due to oral cancer. Now, this is November of 2025. This was published in 2014. If it was 25,000 people that dies due to oral cancer in 2014, imagine the number, how number has increased. It could be 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, or even million population that dies. And yet, we are not talking about it. It should be a concern. It should be a concern that you should be worried. We all should be worried. As a clinician in a specialty of oral health, a week we at least see 5, 6, 7 patients with oral pathology. After screening, after investigation, 50% or 60 or 70% of the population, the number of the patients that we see each week, always tends to have oral cancer. So when I say it's a crisis, and when I say it needs to be talked about, because it could be you, it could be me, it could be a favorite aunt in the village that just we don't know that lot. It could be your uncle, it could be your mom, it could be your dad. So why don't we talk about it now? Why don't we educate ourselves with the information that is really important to talk about? Walk in the street of Woodmansby. Just walk on the street of Woodmansby. Out of the 3 of the 4 people, you notice that 3 of the people in that very little space that you are in choose Betelnut. How do you notice it? How do you notice this? It is the stain in their mouth. You will see that most of the people, if you put 3 to 4 of the people in a very small category and you compare them, you notice that 3 of the 4 people does chew Betelnut because they'll have a stain in their mouth. So it's concerning. What does that say about our society? We do have our crisis. It's not only oral cancer that you should worry about. When you chew Betelnut for a long time, you should worry about having heart attack, because there is a link to heart attack. There is a link to stroke. There is a link to high blood pressure, hypertension. There is a link to gum disease. Remember, gum is the one that holds the tooth together. Like how a root used to hold a tree, and then you see a tree standing. What happens when you cut the root out? 3 folds. Eventually, it is like that with your tooth as well. When the Betelnut, when you chew constantly for a long time, they start to bend out the gum, the fiber of the gum. and then there's no longer a fiber of the gum to hold your teeth. That's when you'll notice all your tooth are moving and they'll start to fall out. So for those that are not Papua New Guinean who's wondering, like, what the hell is she talking about? What is betelnut? Well, okay, let me tell you about betelnut. Betelnut is a seed of a Acrea catechu palm, which is grown in the tropical areas of Pacific, Eastern Africa, and Asia. So the seed or the nut, which locally known as buai, is chewed with mustard and lime. Lime is basically calcium hydroxide. So what people do is we mix the betel nut, the mustard, and the lime all together in the mouth, and then use that crush it. You chew it like gum, but the consistency is soft, and then it sort of triggers your salivary gland, and you'll experience a lot of nuts out. It's very red in color, and yeah. But some swallow it, so it depends on who chewing and a little bit of geographic description. Papua New Guinea is divided into 4 regions. Southern region, New Guinea Islands region, Highlands region, and the Momase region. Now, Highlands region is the coldest part of the country. It is made up of mountainous and very complicated geography. So betelnut will never grow in the cold place. It is only found in the coast. When it comes to culture, when you associate betelnut, yes, it is a cultural thing because it is involved in ritual, ceremony, tradition, custom thing in the coastal, which is the other 3 regions. Momase, New Guinea, and Southern region. But now you will find that betelnut is chewed by everywhere in Papua New Guinea, in Highlands, wherever. You will always. Now we have already established that betelnut chewing does have a link to oral cancer. So is betelnut cancerous? Yes. So how does that happen? What is the process that causes oral cancer? When you're chewing betelnut, the mustard and the lime, white agar compound, when you're chewing, there is a chemical reaction that takes place. The lime itself, which is the calcium hydroxide, the compound itself is very high in pH, up to 10. So when they are reacting, they produce an oxygen species from the betelnut ingredient that causes severe and chronic irritation and damage to the tissue around your mouth, the lining of the tissue around your mouth. There is continuous irritation and changes in the lining of the tissue of your mouth. It changes the gene expression. Okay? The gene expression changes and then causing disturbance in the cell around the mouth. So it started to abnormally reproduce cells continuously without ceasing, causing sore and growth that you see called tumor. And sometimes the tumor is malignant, means it can spread across your system, and that's how cancer spread and people die. So basically, I'm trying to put it in very simple terms. There's a lot of process that goes, but we are not in a medical class. We are here to talk about how things happen. So that if you also smoke and if you drink alcohol, then it's like you are adding fuel to the fire that is already burning. The chances of you getting mouth cancer increases significantly to a certain percentage. So it's very dangerous. My clinical experience as a resident of NCDPH for the last couple of years, like last year and this year, this is what I've noticed. People don't really know what mouth cancer is. There is a link established between mouth cancer and betelnut. Okay, most people chew because they think that it helps the tooth. So there is also a common misconception about that. Some just they don't really care about their oral health. They think that oral health is not important, so they do not brush their teeth, they do not take care of their mouth, not knowing that the mouth is the window of your entire body. So, and then they also do not know the signs, the cause, the risk factor, everything related to mouth cancer they do not know. So there is a huge information gap out there that needs to be filled. And the rest of the episode that I'm going to be producing is basically going to be more on oral cancer.